Richard here. I blamed aging for my fatigue. Turns out, I was wrong. Today, I'll share the simple change that brought my energy back after 60.
Well now, friend, let me tell you something that's been on my mind. You ever notice how some folks just seem to age differently? I don't mean the ones on magazine covers with suspiciously smooth foreheads. I mean the real people. The ones you meet in a park or a market who are in their 70s or 80s and still moving like they've got another 20 years in the tank. Now, I've been reading about these Japanese elders, folks in their 70s, 80s, even 90s, who are outliving just about everyone else on the planet. And not just outliving, but out-thriving. They're not sitting in rocking chairs waiting for the clock to run out. They're gardening, walking, laughing, playing with grandkids, and doing it all with a kind of grace that makes you wonder if they know something we don't. Turns out, they do. Harvard and Stanford researchers spent years studying them, and what they found wasn't some exotic diet or a magic gene. No, the secret was hiding in plain sight, in 6 simple movements they do every single day. Not workouts, not gym routines, just everyday motions that keep their bodies and brains humming like a well-tuned piano. Now, when I first heard this, I thought, 6 movements? That's it? I do 6 movements just getting out of bed in the morning. Roll, groan, stretch, shuffle, sigh, and reach for the coffee pot. But then I dug deeper, and the science is downright fascinating. So let's walk through them together, neighbor to neighbor. The first one is slow walking, what they call sampo. Now, Gladys teases me because I've been accused of ambling more than walking, but this is different. It's intentional. They walk at half speed, breathing in rhythm. Inhale for 2 steps, hold for 2, exhale for 4. Sounds simple, but it lights up the brain and lowers blood pressure. Walter tried it with me one morning. We strolled down Maple Street, moving so slow the squirrels were passing us. By the end, he said, "Richard, I feel calmer than I have in years." I told him, "That's because for once you weren't rushing to beat me to the coffee pot." The science backs it up. Japanese elders who practice sampo have lower artery stiffness, better balance, and sharper minds. And all it takes is 20 minutes of walking like you've got nowhere to be. Then there's radio taiso, their morning stretching routine. Every morning at 6:30 a.m., a little piano tune plays across Japan, and millions of folks get up and stretch together. Can you imagine if our town did that? Mahmoud leading us in the park, Gladys rolling her eyes, Walter pretending he's too stiff but secretly loving it. The science says it keeps joints lubricated, backs flexible, and falls at bay. I say it just sounds like a joyful way to start the day. Now, here's one that'll make you chuckle. The deep squat rest. Japanese elders can squat down, heels flat, and just stay there. Chatting, gardening, waiting for the bus. Meanwhile, most of us can't hold it for 10 seconds without groaning. But studies show it keeps hips open, spines healthy, and independence intact. I tried it once at the senior center, and let's just say I needed Mahmoud to pull me back up. But I'm working on it. The fourth is single leg standing. Doctors in Japan literally prescribe it like medicine. Stand on one leg for a minute, twice a day. Sounds silly, right? But it rewires your balance system, sharpens your brain, and predicts longevity better than cholesterol. I've started doing it while brushing my teeth. Gladys walked in once, saw me wobbling, and said, "Richard, are you practicing flamingo impressions now?" Then there's the floor-sitting transition. This one's a doozy. Japanese elders sit on the floor for meals, tea, even TV, which means they're constantly getting up and down. That movement alone keeps their legs strong, hips flexible, and brains sharp. I tried it at home, sat cross-legged on the rug, and then realized I had no graceful way back up. Took me 5 minutes and a lot of grunting. But hey, practice makes progress. And finally, the king of them all, the towel twist. Just a simple hand towel pulled tight while you twist your torso. 2 minutes a day, morning and night. Sounds like nothing, but it activates muscles you didn't even know you had, fires up both sides of your brain, and lowers inflammation. Marcus tried it with me last week, and he said, "Richard, I feel like I just did a full workout." I told him that's because you did, without leaving your living room. Now, friend, here's the kicker. These 6 movements aren't about exercise. They're about living. They're woven into daily life, walking slowly to the market, stretching with neighbors, squatting in the garden, balancing while brushing their teeth, sitting on the floor with family, twisting a towel before bed. No gym memberships, no fancy equipment, just simple habits that keep them independent, sharp, and joyful well into their 80s and 90s. So let me ask you, of these 6, which one do you think would help you most right now? Could you see yourself trying the slow walk? Or maybe balancing on one leg while brushing your teeth? Drop your answer in the comments because I'd love to hear your story. And remember, neighbor, it's never too late to start. You don't need to move to Japan or eat sushi every day. You just need to start moving in ways that keep you alive, not just living. Until next time, keep moving, keep smiling, and remember, your health is too precious to leave sitting in a chair. Disclaimer, I'm not giving medical advice. Always check with your doctor before starting a new exercise routine or making changes to your healthcare routine.
Now, friend, I know what you might be thinking. Richard, this all sounds nice, but do these little movements really make that much difference? And I get it. We've been raised to think that exercise has to mean sweat, spandex, and maybe a little suffering. But here's the thing. Japanese elders aren't training for marathons. They're training for life. And life, as it turns out, is made up of small, repeated movements that either keep you going or slowly wear you down. Let me tell you about a morning at the park. Gladys, Walter, Mahmoud, and I decided to try Sampo together. Now, you've never seen a funnier sight than 4 seniors walking at half speed, counting our breaths like we were in some kind of marching band gone wrong. Walter kept losing track of the rhythm, Gladys accused him of cheating, and Mahmoud just laughed the whole time. But after 20 minutes, something shifted. We weren't just walking, we were calm, focused, even a little lighter on our feet. And here's the kicker. The science says that kind of mindful walking lowers blood pressure, improves balance, and even sharpens memory. One study showed seniors who practiced Sampo had 40% less cognitive decline. 40%! That's not just numbers. That's remembering your grandkids' names, your favorite recipes, the punchline to your best jokes. Now, speaking of jokes, Mahmoud tried to squat down in the grass after our walk, practicing that deep squat rest. He stayed down there chatting away like it was nothing. Meanwhile, I tried to join him and nearly toppled over. Gladys had to grab my arm before I went face first into the daisies. But you know what? That little squat practice is no joke. Studies show it keeps hips open, spines healthy, and independence intact. Folks who can squat comfortably are less likely to need assisted living. Imagine that. Your ability to squat could be the difference between living on your own or needing help. And then there's Radio Taiso. Now, I'll admit the idea of a whole country stretching together at 6:30 a.m. sounds a little wild, but when you think about it, it's brilliant. Everyone starts the day moving, breathing, loosening up. No wonder they've got fewer falls and less back pain. I tried leading a version of it at the senior center once. Played some old Sinatra instead of the piano tune. Half the group stretched, half the group danced, and Walter just stood there swaying like a tree in the wind. But we all laughed, and that laughter was medicine in itself. Now, let's talk about balance. You know how doctors here check your blood pressure and cholesterol? In Japan, they check how long you can stand on one leg. And honestly, it makes sense. Balance is life. Lose your balance, you fall. You fall, you break something. You break something, and suddenly your independence is on the line. So I started practicing single leg standing while brushing my teeth. At first, I wobbled like a drunk flamingo. Gladys walked by and said, "Richard, if you fall and chip a tooth, don't come crying to me." But after a few weeks, I noticed something. I was steadier, more confident. Even walking up the church steps felt easier. And the science says people who can stand on one leg for 30 seconds have mortality rates similar to folks 10 years younger. 10 years! That's worth a little wobbling in the bathroom, don't you think? Now, the floor-sitting transition. That one's humbling. Japanese elders sit on the floor for meals, tea, even TV, which means they're constantly getting up and down. That movement alone keeps their legs strong, hips flexible, and brains sharp. I tried it at home, sat cross-legged on the rug, and then realized I had no graceful way back up. Took me 5 minutes and a lot of grunting. But here's the thing. Every time you get down and back up, you're training your body and your brain. It's like sneaking in a workout without even realizing it. And then there's the towel twist. Ah, friend, don't underestimate this one. Just a simple hand towel, pulled tight while you twist your torso. 2 minutes a day, morning and night. Sounds like nothing, but it activates muscles you didn't even know you had, fires up both sides of your brain, and lowers inflammation. Marcus tried it with me last week, and he said, "Richard, I feel like I just did a full workout." I told him that's because you did, without leaving your living room. Now, let me ask you, of these 6, which one do you think you could start today? Could you see yourself trying the slow walk, or maybe balancing on one leg while brushing your teeth? Drop your answer in the comments because I'd love to hear your story. And remember, neighbor, it's never too late to start. You don't need to move to Japan or eat sushi every day. You just need to start moving in ways that keep you alive, not just living.
You know, neighbor, the more I think about these 6 little movements, the more I realize they're not really about exercise at all. They're about culture, about how you live your life day in and day out. See, in Japan, these things aren't workouts. They're just life. Folks walk slowly to the market, they squat while gardening, they sit on the floor for tea, they twist a towel before bed. It's woven into the fabric of their days. Meanwhile, here in the West, we treat movement like a chore, something you have to schedule, dress for, and maybe even pay a membership fee to do. I'll give you an example. Last week, Gladys invited me over for tea. She's got this low coffee table she bought years ago when she was on a minimalist kick. She plopped right down on the rub, cross-legged, like it was nothing. Me? I tried to follow suit and ended up looking like a turtle flipped on its back. Took me a good minute to get comfortable, and even longer to get back up. Gladys laughed so hard she nearly spilled her tea. But you know what? That's exactly the kind of movement Japanese elders do every day without thinking, and that's why they stay limber. Now Walter, he's a different story. He's got this habit of rushing everywhere. Even when he's got nowhere to be, he walks like he's late for a train. I told him, "Walter, you need to try Sampo. Slow it down. Breathe with your steps." He rolled his eyes, but he gave it a shot. After 10 minutes, he said, "Richard, I feel ridiculous." After 20 minutes, he said, "Richard, I feel good." And that's the magic of it. You start out thinking it's silly, and you end up realizing your whole nervous system just took a deep breath. Mahmoud, of course, took to it like a duck to water. He said it reminded him of walking through the old markets back home, where the pace was slower, the air was filled with spices, and everyone greeted each other along the way. He said, "Richard, maybe the secret isn't just the movement, it's the mindfulness, the way you notice the world when you're not rushing through it." And I think he's right. Now, let's talk about that towel twist again. I know it sounds almost laughable, twisting a towel like you're wringing out laundry. But the science is wild.
It lights up both sides of your brain at once, creating new connections. That's like giving your brain a daily tune-up. And it's not just theory. I've felt it. The first time I tried it, I thought, this is too easy. But after 2 minutes, I was sweating. My core was engaged, my shoulders were working, even my feet felt alive. Marcus, who used to teach martial arts, said it reminded him of the old kata forms, simple, repetitive movements that look easy but build incredible strength and focus over time. He said, "Richard, the towel is just a tool. The real work is inside your body." And I think that's the beauty of it. You don't need fancy machines. You just need intention. Now, let me ask you, friend, what's the simplest movement you do every day that makes you feel alive? Is it bending down to tie your shoes? Reaching up to grab a mug from the top shelf? Walking to the mailbox? Those little things matter more than we realize. Share it in the comments, because I guarantee someone else will read it and think, hey, I can do that too. And here's something else I've noticed. These movements aren't just physical, they're social. In Japan, people do radio taiso together. They walk together, they squat in the park together, and that togetherness is medicine in itself. Loneliness, after all, is one of the biggest health risks we face as we age. But when you move with others, you laugh, you connect, you belong. I'll never forget the time we tried group squats at the senior center. Half of us couldn't get down, the other half couldn't get back up, and the whole room was roaring with laughter. Did we look ridiculous? Absolutely. Did we feel better afterward? You bet we did. So maybe the real secret isn't just the 6 movements. Maybe it's the way they bring people together, the way they turn exercise into community, and community into longevity. You know, neighbor, the more I share these stories, the more I realize that the real lesson isn't just about movement. It's about attitude. Japanese elders don't see aging as a slow decline. They see it as another season of life, one to be lived with grace, humor, and purpose. And those 6 movements, they're just the tools that keep the engine running so they can enjoy the ride. I'll tell you something that happened last Sunday. After church, a few of us gathered in a fellowship hall. Walter was balancing on one leg while sipping his coffee, showing off, of course. Gladys rolled her eyes and said, "If you spill that coffee on the carpet, Walter, you'll be balancing on one leg in the parking lot." Everyone laughed, but then Mahmoud chimed in, "You know, in Japan, they'd be proud of him. Balance is medicine." And he's right. That's the thing. These movements aren't about vanity. They're about independence, about being able to get up off the floor when you've been playing with your grandkids, about walking to the store without fear of falling, about keeping your mind sharp enough to remember the punchline of your favorite joke. And let me tell you, friend, independence is priceless. I've seen too many folks lose it too soon, not because of illness, but because of stiffness, weakness, or fear. And once you lose it, it's hard to get back. But these 6 little habits, they're like insurance for your independence. Now, I know starting something new can feel daunting, but here's the beauty. You don't have to do all 6 at once. Start with 1. Maybe it's slow walking. Maybe it's bouncing on one leg while brushing your teeth. Maybe it's twisting a towel before bed. Just 1. And then build from there. And don't do it alone. Grab a friend. Do Sampo with your neighbor. Try radio taiso with your spouse. Challenge your grandkids to a squat contest. They'll love it, and you'll get stronger without even realizing it. Movement is medicine, but laughter is the prescription that makes it go down easy. I'll never forget the day we all tried the towel twist together at the senior center. There we were, a dozen of us, holding towels like we were about to start a tug of war. We twisted left, we twisted right, we groaned, we laughed, and afterward everyone said the same thing. I feel good. Not exhausted, not sore, just good. And that's the point. So here's my challenge to you, neighbor. Pick one of these 6 movements and try it today. Not tomorrow, today. And then come back and tell us how it felt. Did you wobble? Did you laugh? Did you surprise yourself? Share it in the comments because your story might be the one that inspires someone else to start. And remember, it's never too late. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need a gym. You don't even need perfect form. Just you need to start. Because every step, every stretch, every squat, every twist, it all adds up. And before you know it, you're not just adding years to your life, you're adding life to your years. So let's take a page from our Japanese friends. Let's move with intention. Let's laugh with each other. Let's age with grace. And let's remember that the secret to longevity isn't hidden in a pill bottle or a hospital wing. It's right here, in the way we choose to live each day. Until next time, keep moving, keep smiling, and remember, your health is too precious to waste sitting still.
That was all for today. Stay moving and stay young at heart. See you next time.